Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here we go again, friends. Probably only one right way to start this video. Dump, dump, dump. Another one bites the dust as another one bites the dust. There is something happening at CNN. There is something going on at CNN which is just lovely. Whether or not you think it goes far enough is completely irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, it is a massive, massive cultural win. It seems as though the new leadership and ownership group at CNN is paving a warpath against corrupt, fake news, left-wing journalism, or otherwise known as journalism, and they are cleaning house with all of the fake news, wokey journalists, one at a time. And there's two ways that this is happening. Some people are just getting canceled. I mean, if they have a primetime show, the only way to get rid of them is to cancel their show. And other journalists are just simply leaving the network or resigning. They're trying to make it seem as if, oh, after 30 years of working at CNN, I'm taking my leave and moving on to other opportunities. No, friends, they are being fired. They're being let go, or there's negotiations behind the scenes, which are essentially forcing strong-arming these individuals to resign. And the latest fake news casualty is none other than John Harwood, another one of those liberal journalist blowhards. Oh my lord, some of these people are just so insufferable. You know, the Brian Stelters and the Chris Wallaces of the world, who are constantly going on about the virtue of what it means to be a journalist and trying to present themselves all clean cut and as a real establishment journalist, molded in the image of Walter Cronkite. But really, of course, behind that very thin veneer, that very shallow, totally unconvincing disguise, they're just the same as all the other fake news left-wing journalists with their condescending, partisan crap. And that's exactly who CNN's John Harwood is. And folks, he is gone. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on as another one bites the dust at CNN. They're truly cleaning house, folks. The question, of course, being who's next. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so here's the headline of the day. Left-wing journalist John Harwood let go by CNN. CNN has parted ways with White House correspondent John Harwood, the left-wing journalist revealed on Friday. Personal news. Today is my last day at CNN. Proud of the work. Thanks to my colleagues. I've been lucky to serve the best in American media, St. Petersburg Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, the NBC family, and CNN. The best in American media. All right there, little Johnny Harwood. Whatever you want to tell yourself that makes you sleep at night. Looking forward to figuring out what's next. And that's how you know right there that he got fired, because he doesn't have a backup plan. If he was just moving on to the next opportunity, then you don't just leave abruptly. You don't just get fired, you don't just get canned or sacked, and then need to figure out, well, what's next on your path. Generally, you already have something else lined up, and then you give in your 2 weeks notice, and you move on to another opportunity, usually moving upward. But John Harwood is not in that position, no, not at all. Let's continue to read the article. A spokesperson for CNN confirmed that Harwood was no longer employed in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter. We appreciate John's work covering the White House, and we wish him all the best. And that message from CNN can basically be translated to, well, something like this.
Bye, have a beautiful time.
I mean, they kicked him out the door and said, don't let the door hit you on the way out. No long message or celebrating his career, just, we appreciate your work, now please get the out of here. The outlet reported that Harwood learned that he was being let go by CNN last month. He joined the cable news network in January 2020 after working as the chief Washington correspondent for CNBC. The reasons for Harwood's departure are as of yet unknown, but he is not the first highly partisan journalist to leave since CEO Chris Litch took over after Warner Bros. Discovery acquired CNN earlier this year. 2 weeks ago, CNN announced that chief media correspondent Brian Stelter would be let go and his show Reliable Sources canceled. Stelter had long antagonized conservatives who accused him of being biased against the right, Fox News, and former President Donald Trump. Harwood has similarly faced criticism for being sharply critical of Trump and the Republican Party, which he called fundamentally broken in 2019. In 2016, hacked Hillary Clinton campaign emails published by WikiLeaks revealed that Harwood complimented Clinton in conversations with campaign chairman John Podesta, during which he offered to interview her on topics she would be comfortable with. In another email exchange, Harwood asked the Clinton campaign to suggest questions that he would ask of Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush in an interview. So essentially, John Harwood, who presents himself as a neutral, ethical journalist, was caught in 2016 cozying up to the Clinton campaign in order to get an interview with them, and of course, like we've seen with so many of these dishonest left-wing media hacks, handing over the questions before the interview, trying to fabricate an interview scenario rather than actually asking hard-hitting, real questions like a journalist is supposed to. Harwood's performance as a moderator during the October 2015 GOP presidential primary debate drew widespread scorn from Republicans because at times it seems as if he wanted to debate the candidates himself rather than moderate their discussion. Reminds me of Chris Wallace from 2020. Then candidate Donald Trump called him a, quote, disaster, and said that he is probably finished as a reporter in a blistering review of Harwood's behavior. Harwood leaves CNN at a time when the company is losing profits and viewers. The network's new leadership under Litch has taken steps to return to neutral, nonpartisan news coverage, including letting go of talent. And clearly Harwood is another fake news casualty, and though he probably doesn't have great name recognition, most people don't know who the hell he is, he's probably one of the most deserving fake news journalists to get fired. And it was interesting because I've been identifying that certain people at CNN have been acting a little bit erratic lately. You know, the network as a whole has been trying to moderate, trying to be as neutral as possible since Chris Litch has taken over as CEO, and I've pointed out that there's a couple people that are currently standing out at CNN for their erratic behavior. And my prediction was that most likely these individuals know that they're going to get fired, and so they're basically trying to burn the whole thing down, or they have nothing to lose, so they're just acting as partisan as possible. We covered that moment with Don Lemon not too long ago. Well, it seems as though that definitely holds up with Mr. John Harwood, or like I usually refer to these dishonest CNN people, Little John Harwood, because right before he was let go by the network, this was his on-air contribution to the conversation.
They are standing by the message that President Biden offered. Of course, it was a political speech. We're in a midterm re-election year. The issues that he's talking about are inherently political. But I think it's also important to say that the core point he made in that political speech about a threat to democracy is true. Now, that's something that's not easy for us as journalists to say. We're brought up to believe there's two different political parties with different points of view, and we don't take sides in honest disagreements between them. But that's not what we're talking about. These are not honest disagreements. The Republican Party right now is led by a dishonest demagogue. Many, many Republicans are rallying behind his lies about the 2020 election and other things as well. And a significant portion, or a sufficient portion, of the constituency that they're leading attacked the Capitol on January 6th violently by offering pardons or suggesting pardons for those people who violently attacked the Capitol, which you've been pointing out numerous times this morning. Donald Trump made Joe Biden's point for him.
Does that to you seem like a journalist? It's the same kind of thing that we saw from Brian Stelter. We as journalists aren't supposed to act in this specific way, but Donald Trump is a lying, demagogue, evil dictator, and everything that the Democrats are saying is true, and a threat to democracy and so on, insurrection. That's not journalism. That's partisan politics, and this John Harwood guy is the most deceptive kind of journalist, wearing the fancy suit and speaking in a very specific tone. Highly educated man. I mean, I'll give him that. He pulls off the look, but the actual content itself, I mean, the guy's a hack. And is it any surprise to you that literally right after this moment, CNN John Harwood is let go from the network? I mean, this is probably the straw that broke the camel's back. They told him that they were letting him go, and then he pulled this stunt and they said, listen, you gotta go. As in, pack your things up immediately and walk out the door, because clearly this is the exact opposite of what the new ownership group at CNN wants. This is the same kind of divisive, destructive rhetoric that has led to the demise of the network, and just like Joe Biden has injected so much poison, so much venom into the public sphere. Where do you get off as a journalist in such a self-righteous, condescending manner? Tell the viewers that Joe Biden is actually totally correct in his assessment, albeit political, that all you Republicans are part of a fascistic group, blindly following the lies of a fascist demagogue in Donald Trump. It's one thing when Rachel Maddow says it, it's another when a supposed CNN journalist says it. It has no place in the realm of journalism, period. And if you want to throw away basic journalistic ethics and you want to take that stance, then so be it. Don't be surprised when you get fired, because this, my friends, is a fireable offense. And that should essentially be the standard at any supposed news network, period. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, John Harwood. And my final message, good riddance. I'm sure the New York Times is probably hiring. That's what I got for you guys, though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for it. Like I always say, we would love to have you as part of the community. I'm gonna get back to work, though. I want to thank you guys for watching, and of course, I will see you on the next one.